Hello, my name is Maria Hartman, and I'm an instructor and student teaching coordinator in the Program for the Education of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing at Teachers College, Columbia University. I'm also a New York State Certified Teacher of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing and have taught elementary age deaf children for many years before coming to university teaching. In this webinar, I'll share with you first some background information on hearing loss and then some information on how you can support the inclusion of deaf and hard of hearing children and adults in the life of your community. To get an idea about how many people in the United States are deaf or hard of hearing, let's review some statistics compiled by the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders. Approximately 17% of all adults in the United States, or 36 million people, report some degree of hearing loss. About 2 to 3 of every 1,000 children are born deaf or hard of hearing. Though deafness is considered a low incidence disability, these numbers indicate that particularly in large urban areas, it is reasonable to expect that a number of deaf or hard of hearing people will be involved in your organization's activities. Understanding hearing loss will help you work toward the goal of full inclusion for deaf and hard of hearing children and adults. Before we discuss hearing loss, let's take a minute to review how we hear. If you take a look at the diagram, you'll see that the ear is divided into 3 sections. The outer ear acts like a funnel to direct sound waves from the air to the tympanic membrane, which is more commonly known as the eardrum. Sound causes the tympanic membrane to vibrate. These vibrations cause the 3 auditory bones in the middle ear to move mechanically. The middle ear then sends these mechanical vibrations through the semicircular canals to the inner ear, where they are picked up by tiny hair cells in the cochlea and sent as electrical impulses along the auditory nerve up to the brain for interpretation. There are 2 main types of hearing loss, and both interfere with a person's ability to hear sounds and understand speech. A conductive loss is a loss related to problems in the outer or the middle ear. Practitioners who work with young children are particularly familiar with this type of hearing loss because it occurs frequently in children with persistent middle ear infections. With ear infection, fluid collects in the middle ear and can cause temporary hearing loss, which may go unnoticed, though it does present hearing challenges for young listeners. Sensory neural loss, in contrast, arises due to problems in the inner ear and beyond. This type of hearing loss is frequently associated with cochlear hair cell damage. A person with this kind of loss will hear fewer sounds, and those sounds will be more greatly distorted. Both types of loss are measured in degrees ranging from mild to profound. What are the causes of hearing loss? Congenital hearing loss is present at birth and may be genetic or the result of other complications during the development of the fetus. Acquired hearing loss occurs after birth at any time in one's life. Acquired hearing loss may be the result of an illness, medications, or injury to the ear. On this diagram, we see that sounds are measured in decibels, ranging from loud ones at 120 dBs to soft ones at -10 dBs. Sounds are also measured in hertz, which refers to their low pitch, noted at 125 hertz, through higher pitches at 8,000 hertz. A person's degree of hearing loss can be mild, moderate, severe, or profound. A person with a mild hearing loss in the 20 to 40 dB range will have difficulty following a conversation if the speaker is not close by or if there's noise in the background. That's because they may struggle to hear the parts of words containing the k, f, s, and th sounds. They will also have difficulty hearing quiet sounds like the hum of a refrigerator, birds chirping, or leaves rustling. A person with a moderate hearing loss, between 40 to 60 dBs, may struggle to hear most of the speech sounds and might wear a hearing aid to hear conversation more adequately. Listening in a crowd will still be challenging. A person with a severe hearing loss, between 70 to 90 dBs, would not be able to understand speech without hearing technology, and may only be able to hear some sounds like a truck rumbling by or a motorcycle. A person with profound hearing loss, above 95 dBs, is only able to hear very loud sounds like a jackhammer or loud drumming. Even with hearing aids, it would be difficult to understand speech. With intervention, the ability for understanding some speech could improve. Another way to think about hearing loss is in terms of speech perception. In this slide, you will note that as a hearing loss increases, a person is able to hear less and less of a spoken message. At the profound degree of hearing loss, the person might only hear speech as louder or softer vibrations. Most people with hearing loss use some form of assistive hearing technology to increase their hearing ability. Hearing aid technology has improved dramatically in the last 10 years and continues to become more powerful and sophisticated. Modern hearing aids provide greater amplification and can be more finely tuned to a person's specific hearing profile. A critical point to remember, though, is that even as today's technology is powerful and effective, it is not a solution by itself. Hearing and speech must be taught and practiced. The technology does not make the person with hearing loss a hearing person. A cochlear implant is a small, complex electronic device that can help to provide a sense of sound to a person who is profoundly deaf or severely hard of hearing who does not benefit from a hearing aid. The implant consists of an external portion that sits behind the ear and a second portion that is surgically placed under the skin. A cochlear implant is very different from a hearing aid. Hearing aids amplify sounds so they may be detected by parts of the inner ear. Cochlear implants bypass non-functioning portions of the ear and directly stimulate the auditory nerve. Signals generated by the implant are sent along the auditory nerve to the brain, which recognizes the signals as sound. Hearing through a cochlear implant is different from typical hearing, and it takes time to learn or relearn how to listen to speech. However, it allows many people to recognize warning signals, understand other sounds in the environment, and enjoy a conversation in person or by telephone. FM and infrared systems are used in group situations like classrooms, where the listener needs to hear a single speaker in a crowd or in noise. With these systems, the speaker wears a microphone that amplifies the spoken message over the noise in the room directly to a receiver worn by the listener. This greatly overcomes problems in difficult listening situations, such as a noisy environment or a distance, and functions like a hearing aid to enhance the signal. Sound field systems work in a similar fashion, only the speaker's voice is transmitted to a speaker system that projects the sound through a room rather than directly to the specific listener's hearing aids. American Sign Language is a language used by many deaf and hard of hearing people in the US and Canada. ASL uses hand shapes, hand positions, movements, facial expressions, and body movements to convey meaning. ASL is an independent language that has its own grammar and syntax and is the fourth most commonly used language in the United States. Please see the webinar entitled Inclusion, Awareness, Access to Communication, Celebration to learn about ways to support the inclusion of persons with hearing loss in your organization or group's activities. Please contact me for further information or if you have any questions.